Dr Umar's Podcast is a series of podcasts providing career advice, work-based tips and learning skills, helping you become a better doctor with a healthy work-life balance. These podcasts are in association with MRCPCH speciality courses, who specialise in courses in interview skills, application form writing and communication skills. Check it out on mrcpchspecialitycourses.co.uk. Hello, my name's Umar. I am a paediatric cardiologist and welcome to my podcast. I'm so excited to actually be recording my first ever podcast. Actually, that's a lie. I have done a couple of podcasts in the past, but I've never done them alone. And I've always really wanted to do a podcast, but I've never really found the time. So I am really excited. I've actually found the time and put mouth to mic, as it were. So welcome to hopefully the first of many podcasts. And as well as being a paediatric cardiologist, I'm also the managing director of MRCPCH speciality courses, a company that helps with career advice, application writing, as well as interviews, and the occasional cardiology course. And this podcast is something I've always wanted to do, and that's because, well, I think it's a good way to share knowledge with people. And personally, I've gone through a lot of life experiences within my career in the NHS, both as a general paediatrician and as a paediatric cardiologist, and a lot of obstacles I've had to face and overcome. But through my company, I've also helped a lot of people face what problems they're facing, challenges, getting the best out of them. And you come to realise that we all have similar obstacles, similar problems. And I've learnt a lot through the people I've helped. So that's really the purpose of this podcast, and all the episodes I'll be hopefully doing, is addressing those career issues, those personal dilemmas. How have I overcome them? How have I seen other people overcome them? And hopefully through the medium of podcasts, whether you're listening on a podcast medium or whether you're watching on YouTube, I hope that these episodes will help you along your journey as an NHS doctor, even as a medical student too, because I'll be talking about medical school as well. And even if you're non-medic, I guess our problems are no different in a lot of ways. And so hopefully I can help you in those situations as well. So what am I going to talk about today? And I really thought really hard about, I made a long list of different episodes about, topics and areas, and I just thought, well, what should be my first one? And then I realised something we don't talk about as medics, or maybe we do, but it's not so widely talked about, is failure and dealing with failure. And I thought that resonated with, my obstacles of doing the first episode, because actually, was this going to work? Is this going to work? Hopefully I'm 10 episodes in and you're listening, as a previous episode, and that's great. But I have no idea if this is going to work or not. I don't know whether this is going to come across really poorly. And I thought actually that's a really good place to start. Dealing with failure. And it's interesting because when I thought about this topic in more depth, failure is looked upon as an endpoint. That you try at something, you fail, and that's it. It's not the outcome you wanted, and everything goes to pot. But actually it's not, is it? It may just be a bump in the road, an obstacle, something that you are going to have to overcome, like an exam. Just because you fail an exam doesn't mean it's the end of your career. It's a horrible place to be in. Let's not get mistaken, but it's not the end. And so I thought it would be really good to talk about failure, talk about my experience of failure and how I've overcome it. And I want to start this episode with a nice little saying that I heard at my kids' school some years ago, where to fail is the first attempt in learning. And that's how we should look at it. So why is it that we're, as doctors, so scared to fail? Well, I think if you look at the root of it, doctors don't fail. Or we perceive that we don't fail. As children, or youngsters at school, we're so used to passing the exam, doing really well, getting the best marks, and pretty much how we've navigated towards a career in medicine. Well, one of the reasons anyway, that we're really good academically and we do really well when we're ranked high. So all of a sudden you end up in the postgraduate exams and you have failed, and you're just not used to that. You're used to passing everything, and all of a sudden you haven't. What's happened? Has aging taking its toll? Are brain cells slowly going now? Has that dementia kicked in? No. There's nothing wrong with failing. And actually, when you compare your life now as adults to back then when you're 16 at your GCSEs, your A-levels, or even during medical school, you didn't have the same issues going on around you than you did as a younger person. You could dedicate your whole day to revising. I loved it. Well, I guess love is a very strong word, but you could wake up, you didn't have to worry about bills, you didn't have to worry about getting stuff sorted around the house. I ran my dad's chicken shop, so I had challenges, but generally I didn't have the same stress as I have now as a father to two kids. Got to make sure that they're sorted out. As a husband, with a house and a mortgage and bills to pay, all of those things, and your training, and making sure that your job's done properly, and all the things that come with the job. So that's where the difference has happened now, isn't it? You've come in, you're in two different sort of states of living. But look, there's nothing wrong with failing. Failing can simply be a sign that there's more learning to be done. And if you fail your clinicals, fine, it's horrible feeling. It's horrible feeling. But actually, there may be things that you're going to need to know in deeper, with a deeper understanding. And so, with that in mind, you'd rather get those things sorted and become the registrar that you can be with those baseline on. Now you could argue, well, being really good at a clinical doesn't make me a better registrar, but let's be fair, knowing about the red flags, the lateral learning that goes on with different conditions, knowing how to manage them, dealing with them on a busy rota, having that learning in place can and will help. So failure could well just be, look, I just need to know more. I need to learn more. I need to dedicate myself a bit more. Or it could be a turning point to something new. You failed at something. Maybe this wasn't the right career path for you. Maybe there's a different calling for you. Maybe there's a different area within the specialty you're in that you should try your hand at. And you may well realise that that is where you should have gone in the first place. I don't know. But what's important is that you learn about yourself at these times and figure out what works for you. Failing is a good thing because it teaches you how to become resilient. And even with my own children, when they feel like they've failed at something, or they're not very good at something, I never talk to them as though they're failures, or they're just no good at something. That would be bad parenting. What I say to my son is, why aren't you good at it? Let's think about it. What is it you're finding difficult? And why don't we work on that? And I think that builds resilience. That shows that you're resilient. And I think it's also a way of showing you're resilient. So when you've got those interview questions, when you've got those questions on the form and you have to show resilience, it's about saying, yeah, I failed, or I wasn't very good at something. Okay, resilience isn't about being a harsh person, and I'm trying to use my language carefully on this podcast. You don't have to be horrible. You don't fit in somewhere. Okay, you feel like you're a bit out of place. Feel a bit like a fraud. Learn. Show you can be as good as you are. I mean, if we look at movies have always really Hollywoodized, I think that's a word, this whole sort of picking yourself up and sort of training, and it's the whole training montage bits of video, of movies when the music comes in, and they train really hard, or they practice really hard, and then they're really good. Unfortunately, life isn't always a Hollywood movie. There isn't always a happy ending. You are going to fail at times, even after all the hard work you put in. And that is a reality. Even with my company, this is a reincarnation of another. Startups even, they fail. It happens. Successful people fail. And I think this is the illusion of social media, the illusion of very successful people that you see, that you think that they just started something and they were overnight success stories. I'm a big fan of watching, sort of life stories, whether it's the movies or documentaries. I love watching them. One of the things that you notice is that all these really successful people, whether it's in the movies or it's within science or whichever field it is, they have a hard time going through their journey. But they all pick themselves up. They learn, they reflect, they think about, why did this fail? And so the challenge isn't about, or the challenge isn't, don't fail at all costs. The challenge is, what are you going to do when you do fail? It's important to fail, like I've sort of been saying so far. And if you're an SHO, your junior trainee, or your junior reg, you're in a position to fail. You're in training. You're supposed to fail. This idea that you've got to come across like you're this, competent, tough, in control, person. If you're pretending and deep down you know that you are way over your head, don't worry. Your seniors know. I've met many SHOs that give off this, yes boss, no worry boss, we're going to do it. Yeah, this sort of tough persona. You see right through it, because when you're actually doing your task, you realise, yeah, you may talk the talk, clearly can't walk the walk. But that's okay. You're in a position. Senior's role is to train you. Your role is to learn. And in learning, you are going to fail. You're not going to be really good at the first time, second time, maybe even the third time. That's okay. But you have to embrace your failures. You have to want to show willing that you want to get better, that you want to improve. So do fail. I mean, some people say fail as much as you can. I think that's a bit too far, because then you end up with conversations that you may not be in the right job. But I would be more impressed with someone who fails, takes on feedback, improves, shows that they're getting better, may fail again at something else along the way. That's okay, but you keep on showing improvement. Myself as a trainee wasn't very good at certain things, but I showed willing. I showed determination. I showed that I was learning, that I actively asked for feedback. And you've got to balance that a little bit. So you get one extreme with someone who is in denial or doesn't ask for feedback, doesn't show that they're taking on feedback, because you just want to show this solid exterior. And then you get the other side, where you're constantly wanting feedback, and you're constantly just saying, I'll do better next time, I'll do better next time. It comes across a little bit like you're drowning, but it's like, I'm okay, I'm drowning, but I'm okay. And actually, you've gone too far the other way. So it's a balance between the two. How do you show someone that you're learning from your mistakes? And that's a difficult one, because it's like you don't want to become like that's you all the time. But I think if you're showing that, look, I'm reading on stuff, and then you go and read about something that you didn't fully understand, and you go back to that person and you say, I've read about this and I sort of understood where I went wrong, or why that happened, but there were certain things that I didn't understand within what I was reading. I would like to explore this. You don't need to do it as an assessment. You can just do it as a conversation. But it gives the impression that you are going away and thinking about it. And I'm telling you, that has a major impact on how people perceive you. Because if other people bring this up, and people do, registrar forums, consultant forums, where they talk about trainees, not in a bad way, in a positive way, to figure out, are there any trainees in need, or are there any concerns of the department? Because that's when you address it, and people make comments. Someone will say, well, actually, they've gone away, I had a conversation. It seemed like they really are trying. It goes a long way. Okay, if you're asking for supervision, just say, look, I can do this. I don't need you to do it for me. I just need you to watch. Just let me do it. And you get the occasional person that will agree, but then would want to take over. And you've got to be quite firm and say, no, I want to do it, because if I don't do it and I keep on watching you do it, I'm never going to learn. So just watch. Let me make the mistake within reason. No one should be harmed because of your mistake. And again, that shows willingness. So if you are someone who's finding LPs very difficult, you can read all about it all you want. Practical skills are things you need to just go away and practice. Now, you can't practice an LP because, in the sense that you can't just go around LPing people. But when you do get an LP, think about, well, where's my needle supposed to go? Well, what is my point? What am I trying to achieve here? And get people to watch you. Just like, I'll set everything up. I'll call you at the point that I'm going to actually do the procedure. I would just like you to watch, but be ready if I have any difficulties. And or if you're learning how to scan, go and do a scan yourself. You don't need, and I obviously as a cardiologist I face this a lot. You don't need me to stand next to you while you turn the machine on, put the patient details in. Do the scan, do what you've been practicing, what you figure out, and just call me when you want to show me the pictures. Maybe there's something you don't get in the middle of the scan. You say, well, I'm going to call you at that point and say, look, I can't get this view. That's what you want. You sort of engage with the people around you. So it's not being entirely needy, but it's showing willingness to say, look, I really do want to be better. And again, as an SHO or as a junior reg or at the beginning of your job, that's the time that you should really embrace asking for help. Okay? Because otherwise, if you're not getting that support, really there's a bigger problem.